And we got to talk about my Kansas City Chiefs. We have to talk about my Kansas City Chiefs because they are my team. They're my hometown team. I've been rooting for them since I was about 5 or 6 years old, since I started to understand football, and I love me some Kansas City Chiefs at the end of the day. And many people think that the Kansas City Chiefs are in trouble. Many people think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go through a bad stretch. I am one of those people. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go through this rough stretch through the next 6 weeks here and the rest of the NFL season. And but the question is, guys, are the Kansas City Chiefs going to win out? Are the Kansas City Chiefs going to win out the rest of the season? Because when you look at their schedule, they're at the Panthers this week. Then they play the Raiders, and then they play the Chargers, and then they're at Cleveland, then they play the Texans, at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the Denver Broncos. Will the Kansas City Chiefs win out? Now, we all know that the Kansas City Chiefs took their first loss of the season last week versus the Buffalo Bills back in Week 11. They are back on the road this weekend, and they do have 2 divisional games coming up versus the Raiders and Chargers. When I look at the AFC West in general, all 3 of those divisional games are going to be tough. The Raiders are going to give them their best shot. Raiders want to snap that 7-game losing streak when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs next week. Not week 12, but week 13. The Chargers, they're up and coming. They're battling for that playoff spot. The Broncos are battling for a playoff spot. They want to dethrone the Kings, right? It's going to be tough. And then the Kansas City Chiefs play the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas Day on just 3 days rest after playing the Houston Texans 3 days before that. It is going to be tough. So if any of you realistic fans out there think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win out, if any of you realistic fans out there think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go 15-0 and then 3-0 and in the playoffs be an 18-1 season, slow it down, baby. Slow it down. Because I told you guys the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go through this rough patch. I told you guys back in June and July this was going to happen. We are going to lose to the Buffalo Bills. I told you that. What happened? They lost to the Buffalo Bills. I told you they're going to lose to the Carolina Panthers. It is called a hangover game. It is like, we got 2 divisional games coming up. Petty old Carolina Panthers, whatever, right? Carolina Panthers are playing some sneakily good football game. They've won 2 games in a row. First time ever in Bryce Young's career that he has won back-to-back NFL games. So slow it down, baby. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to go through a rough stretch here. It would not shock me one bit if the Kansas City Chiefs go 500 to end the season. Losing to the Carolina Panthers, losing to a team like the LA Chargers, losing to the Texans, losing to the Steelers. It would not shock me one bit. I still have 5 wins on the record for this season, and I'm going to stand by. I think 12-5 is a very, very good spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, this rough patch that they're going to go through these next 6 weeks, it's a blessing in disguise. Just like last year, Christmas Day. The lowest of the low happened Christmas Day when the Las Vegas Raiders came into Arrowhead Stadium and they whooped that ass. Let's just be flat honest. The Raiders whooped that ass Christmas Day. What happened then? They got hot. They won Week 18. They ran through the playoffs. It is what it is. So are the Kansas City Chiefs going to win out? The answer to that question is absolutely no. If anybody is realistic, if you are a realistic fan, not a homer, not a this, not a that, whatever you want to call it, if you are realistic and you see the outcome on the wall, you see the writing on the wall, they're going to lose 2 more games in the next 2 weeks, right? Or next 3 weeks. Whether it's to the Panthers, whether it's to the Raiders, whether it's to the Chargers, I see them dropping at least 1, if not 2 games during that stretch. They're going to lose to the Steelers on Christmas Day. They might lose to the Texans, and they might lose to the Broncos to end the season. So I have 3 guaranteed losses for the rest of the season to the Steelers, Texans or Broncos, Panthers or Raiders. It's just what it is. So stop with all this Chiefs love, right? I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Stop it. They're going to lose to the Panthers. They're going to play bad versus the Las Vegas Raiders. They might step up and play well on Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead Stadium versus the LA Chargers, but then they're going to have a letdown versus the Steelers, versus the Texans and or Broncos. It is going to happen. So the question is, are the Kansas City Chiefs going to win out? No, they're not. They are not going to win out. It is what it is. Sorry to say, but it is true. Let's see what you guys are saying over here in the chat here. What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? James Semlin says, no, they are not. They will clinch and slow down. The Kansas City Chiefs right now have 9 wins. The LA Chargers have 7 wins. So realistically, probably 3, if not 4 more wins should clinch that division, right? At 12, 13 wins. That'd be an easy clinch, right? I still anticipate the Chargers probably get 10, maybe 11 wins. So let's say 12 wins is that mark. They're going to lose to the Panthers. I mark it down. I think there are 2 ways this game is going to go for the Kansas City Chiefs when they play the Carolina Panthers. A complete ass whooping or a complete letdown. I'm taking the letdown. Then let's say they lose to the Browns. Then let's say they lose to the Texans. So they beat the Raiders, they beat the Chargers. That is 11 wins, and that means they would have to beat the Browns to have a slowdown. 3 games in a row is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But James, I could definitely see it. I just don't see it happening. I could see it, but I don't see it happening. If that makes sense. Laura says, I think KC might lose a few more games. They will. They will lose a few more games. Carolina, let's say Steelers, and let's throw the Broncos in there. 2-game losing streak to end the season. Would not shock me. Kaylee's in the chat. What's up, Kaylee? Fresh off that Jelly Roll concert. She says, no, Chiefs got 1 loss left. It'll be into their heads, and I hope it does. Kaylee's just a Bengals fan. She's just a Bengals fan, and she's just a hater. John says, lucky number 13 trap game brewing. So the Raiders and Chiefs do play week 13. That is next week at Arrowhead Stadium, a rematch of Christmas Day. James, this might be a game that is definitely a trap game, but the Raiders will be on a 7-game losing streak at that particular point. I told you they will be on an 8-game losing streak, and I'm going to stand by it. They're going to lose 8 games. James Frank is in the chat. That is super small chat, but my bad, James. Let me see over here so I can read it. He says, KC will be all right. They'll lose some, but at the end of the day, we'll see that KC magic, whether it's the coaching calling a perfect scheme or Mahomes having one of his crazy games with Hopkins. Really stepping up. Kelsey name will be prominent in December and January. Not wrong. In the last 3 games, the Kansas City Chiefs red zone offense has gone up from 35% touchdown percentage up to 70%. So they're definitely finding the end zone a lot the last 3 games when they get into the red zone, James. So yes, Kelsey and Hopkins will be definitely things of that. And James says they will not win out. They will not win out. I don't think any team in the NFL is going to win out, right? These next 6-7 weeks, nobody's going to win out, except for maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ryan's in the chat, says, let's go, Broncos. Let's go. Kimberly Petrus in the chat as well. She says, let's go, Vikings. Okay, let's go. We got fans of all sorts in today. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. Laura, we got ourselves another fellow Vikings fans here. Homer Waffleson says, maybe. It's John, I'm not saying maybe. The Kansas City Chiefs will lose 3 more games. They'll lose to the Panthers. They'll lose to the Steelers. And let's say they'll lose to the Broncos week 18. It is what it is at the end of the day. It is what it is. Laura says KC will lose out a few more games, and I think it will be against easy win teams, i.e. the Panthers. And she says potentially the Raiders. The Raiders are an easy team. Allegiant East. Oh, good Lord. John, the Kansas City Chiefs have never lost at Allegiant Stadium. I just want to say that. I just want to say that. David Nazareth in the chat says, let me jump in real quick. My Chargers are quietly kicking ass. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.